political entity by nature.
So you're not hearing it either?
No, sir.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the witnesses, thank you for your service. Just a level set here. General, I think you indicated that the Air Force did not meet its recruiting guidelines for the first time in 23 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir, since 1999.
And General Bowers, you indicated the Marines did meet their recruiting guidelines, correct?
Yes, Senator.
And Admiral Walker, for how many years has the Navy not met its recruiting guidelines?
FY22 was the first time. FY23, excuse me, was the first time we hadn't met it.
And then General Davis, how about for the Army?
Last 22 and 23.
Okay, so relatively recent phenomenon. Marines haven't experienced it yet, but you're wary and you're not complacent. And I thought it was interesting, the Air Force recent phenomenon, Space Force doing okay. General Bowers, you used a word we don't hear in a committee room a lot, mystical. We don't hear that in a lot of testimony, but I do think there may be a bit of a mystique about both the Marines and Space Force that can help. So we might think about, is there a way to replicate that more broadly? I will admit some bias as the father of a Marine, but I do think that sort of mystique is an issue. We had testimony at a hearing earlier this year before the full committee where the Army presented results of a survey about this propensity to serve question. And I thought it was interesting because what we heard, and I think that this could be generalized potentially to other service branches beyond the Army, is the top reason that people expressed an unwillingness was a belief that they would fall behind their colleagues. So I'm going through high school, I have some talent, I have colleagues who are thinking about going to college. There's a belief among those, and it may be those who don't have military members in their families, but the stories that they're hearing, or maybe the stories that they're not hearing, lead them to conclude that if they serve in the military, yes, they can be some part of something greater than themselves. That's a plus. And they're not overly worried about their physical safety. That was not one of the top issues. But they worry that if they serve in the military, they're going to fall behind so that at 4 years or 8 or 20 or 30, when they leave, those who didn't serve in the military will have moved ahead of them in terms of opportunities. I think that is a really key issue. So talk about how you're trying to solve that issue to convince young people that service in the military, in addition to having patriotic benefits, is something that with tuition assistance and the leadership training you get as well as the technical training, you're not falling behind anybody. In fact, you're getting the ability to trampoline to higher and higher levels of success. Talk about how you make that pitch to young people.
Get a head start.
Thank you for the question. I believe that individuals join the Navy for one of three reasons: to get away from something, to get to something, or to change something about themselves, all with the idea of becoming a better version of themselves. To a young woman or man who would say, I'm delaying, I would say, absolutely not. If you're coming out of high school, as you mentioned, we will train you in a skill set and give you that experience there. If you are already in service or in industry and not ready to commit full-time, you can join us as part of the reserves. You mentioned tuition assistance and a robust GI Bill that will enable you to further your education as well. So all of these, you build leadership skills, you build teamwork skills, enable you to either develop or continue with a career path in a lifestyle. So I would tell them that the Navy offers every opportunity to be successful however they define it.
Sir, thanks. The fall behind, the leaving the family, deploying, I've seen that, sir. You know, I also, thought about the same things, about the, as an 18-year-old in Wisconsin. But what I've learned and what I share is I first of all share my Army story, that this is certainly a life accelerator. And we're, acting on this with our future, just current generation. And I use that example as the future soldier prep course. Those that would not otherwise qualify, we've said, no, they're fully qualified. Let's bring them in and invest in them. And the success of that, I would offer everyone to take the opportunity to visit, is transformational, because those young men and women that we are investing in, they see the acceleration in their careers and their lives, and now are going on to basic combat training and serving in leadership positions. That confidence continues to go.
My time is almost expired. facing similar recruiting challenges in the military industrial base, hiring people in to be shipbuilders, sub-builders, et cetera. The Navy has stood up a training facility in Danville, Virginia to train the submarine base of the future that's really interesting. And my staff and I have been visiting it and watching it in action. And one of the speakers at a recent graduation was there training to be a shipbuilder and had been referred there by a recruiter. Some of the people who may not meet all of your qualifications, and please keep your standards high, they still want to serve the country. Just because they may not meet the qualification to come into one of the service branches, there are other ways they can serve the defense mission of this country. And in this instance, this individual had been told, hey, here's a program where you can train to be a shipbuilder. You can train to build subs. And the person was doing it with a real patriotic sense of duty and service to the country, even though they weren't going to be wearing the U.S. uniform. So I hope we might combine the recruiting challenges both for our active duty and reservists and our industrial base, and maybe share best practices and even refer back and forth, because all aspects of this spectrum of defense right now need some help in the workforce side in the tight labor market, and I think we can help each other out. And with that, I'll yield back.